This is installation video part 3, and now we're going to be setting up the tool rack and telling Masso where all the tool locations are. So let's go ahead and dive into it. So on the screen, one of the biggest things we're going to want to actually check is going to be this X, Y, and Z box right here that says machine. This is going to be the box that where we jog our spindle to will tell us where the actual location is, and we're going to want to mark down all of these. We're going to mark down each Z location. There's only one Z access spot for the ATC. I'm hoping Masso will eventually add it to where you can have a Z access for every tool. But currently there's one that is across the board. So we're going to have to make sure that we go with the biggest number on the Z axis for when we're doing this to ensure that all the tools are going to clamp correctly. Too much pressure is one thing, not enough pressure is a different thing. So we want to make sure that we go with the biggest number on the Z axis. We'll need to record the X and the Y axes for all of the tool holder racks on the actual machine. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to jogging and probing, put it in continuous mode, probably turn it down, and let's move over to the actual tool rack that we're going to be going into. So now we're going to jog the machine down, and you'll just drive the machine to this location, and we will spin it. I would suggest spinning the actual tool in the spindle like this just to get a feel for how it feels. That way once you get it actually inside of the tool rack, you can spin it to make sure it's not touching on the sidewalls. Then what we'll do is slow it down a little bit more, knowing that it's in the right spot. It's going to go straight in. We'll take this down. I usually set it to 4 and I just tap it. Set it to 4% until we see it flex. So if you look closely, you can see the tool holder just flex down. So once it flexes down, then on the Masso screen, we're going to go to steps, and we're going to go to 0.1, and then we're going to press up on the Z one time. Once we do that, then it should be in the right location. We'll take the manual override switch and just check it. And as you can see, it just slightly pushes it down. So it's putting tool pressure in the rack. We probably could go up a hair more, but I'm going to say that's probably where we want it. You record the X, Y, and Z locations. And then you'll just repeat that step for the rest of the tool rack. So the kit comes with 3, but if you add more of them, then you'll just repeat that step for all of them and record all of those locations. So let's go back over to Masso. So once that's done, then we can just take this and wrap it out of the actual tool rack. So we're going to go over to F1, and we're going to come over to tool changer, and we're going to double click it. And then there'll be 1, 2, and then type 1 changer, click on that. Over in this top, you'll see a tool changer feed rate. This does not affect anything with our actual tool rack configuration. I really wish it would, but it doesn't do anything, and so that's why we actually had to go in and change the Z axis to 200 inches per minute down from the stock setting of 400 inches per minute. Pick and place the Z position. So this is going to be the Z position across the entire board for the tool rack configuration. This is why you must go with the bigger number, because you'd rather have more tool pressure on the rack when you're going to pick up a new tool than you would have not enough and it doesn't pick it up. So go with the biggest number that you recorded across your tool rack. And then we have our X position for all 6 slots that I have currently set up, and then we have our Y position. And so what we'll do is we will set those X positions up and we'll set the Y positions up. and then you just hit save, and then you hit save again. Then we're going to go to Program MDI, and this is going to be important to make sure that you set this up correctly to do this right. So what we'll do now is that we have this open. We're going to go to Override. So when you go to Programs and MDI, there's this box right under the machine box that I was talking about, and it says G-code and overrides. Click the overrides, and we can adjust this feed rate right here. So we'll go to MDI down here and press that button, and we'll type in T1 M6 and then hit run. And then we can adjust the actual rate of it to make sure that it's gonna actually grab or drop the tool correctly. Because you don't want to smash it into there if you don't have it set up correctly. So the overrides comes in really handy when setting this up. You can just pick it up, slow it way down, and be like, yep. And you can see that we're picking tools up just fine. And then you'll want to run this process for all of the tools. Now, one thing to remember is, as you see, it just grabbed the tool and then went over the top. On this, we have 2 inches of stick out that we can play with. We got a little bit more than that, but 2 inches gives us plenty of clearance, as you can see, above the other tool holder. But if you have more than 2 inches, you have the chance of colliding with that tool into other tool holders that are in the rack. So what you want to do is, if you're going to be setting this up, you're probably, and you have a longer tool that's sticking out than 2 inches, you're going to want to go to jog continuous mode, and you're going to want to move your machine somewhere forward. And what this will do is, when it goes to pick up tools, oh, I can't go to override while that's running. I did not know that. So it's going to drop it, then it'll jog over, grab the new tool, and it's going to come out as an angle. So that way it won't go directly over the tool rack. So that's one way to get around actually using longer tools in the system. And if you watch it, instead of going across the tool rack again, it's going to actually jog forward at an angle. And that's what we want. So let's go back to overrides. We know this is working. We'll just go to 100% feed rate. And then we'll go back to this MDI, and let's go grab tool. Let's go tool 6, M6, and we'll hit run. And that's essentially setting up the tool rack. It's pretty simple. The biggest thing is, remember to record these numbers and record all the Z height locations and punch in the biggest number that you record. So with that, that's pretty much setting up the tool rack. So now we're going to go into the different tool rack configurations. And I'll mention this really fast too. So this is the manual override switch. It actually mounts to the Masso. There's a plate that will come with it that's magnetic, and it just clicks on right there. What's nice about this, now that Onefinity has come out with a tool setter, thank God, you'll be able to mount the tool setter on your machine somewhere. And let's say you didn't want to set up a tool rack, but you had a bunch of these somewhere in some type of holder or whatever, and you didn't want to actually set up a tool rack. You wanted to ensure the tools are always constantly and always in the system. Well, you could just put in your tool, use the Onefinity tool setter, it'll touch off, it'll start carving, and then it will go to prompt you for a tool change, and it'll stop the spindle. And then once it stops, you can unclamp the tool and then clamp in your new tool, and then it will go off the Onefinity tool setter and then go on its way with carving. So that's really cool. That's if you don't want a tool rack, and this also opens up the ability to have a ton of different tools. Let's talk about the actual tool racks. So the tool racks essentially look like this. They have a T-track slider. They have heated inserts in the bottom, and a screw that will go through the top to actually tighten them up into the actual T-track once you slide them in. And as you can see, they're back there. The set screws are right here, so once you slide them in to where you want them at, all you do is just tighten the screw up. You don't have to go crazy on it, just tighten it down a little bit and it locks it into place. We will have, I don't have one right now, but we have a different type of tool rack holder, and they are surface mounts. So they will mount directly to the top of the table, and then you'll just have to drill a hole either with a file and cut out the hole where you want to place these, and they'll mount directly on the tabletop like this, and then you'll just have a hole here that the end mill will go into as it sets inside of the tool rack. And you'll be able to configure these anywhere on your table. If you want the dust boot to work with the system though, you're going to have either across the back or across the front. And I am working on some pretty cool front design tool racks because we have so much overhang on this thing. You roughly lose about 3 inches to the back, but you gain roughly almost that 3 inches to the front. I think it's more like 2, maybe 2.5 inches. And so what's really cool is we're going to be able to make some pretty awesome tool racks for the front of this machine. I'm in the process of doing that right now. And that is the end of installation part 3. If you guys like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you have any questions, feel free to give me a comment down below or reach out to me at my website, which is in the description for the ATC system. I really appreciate all the support, and let me know what you guys want to see next. Take care.